And you are now recording, Chair.
Oh,
Thank you.
thanks, Tom.
So I'd like to welcome you all to tonight's meeting of the East Town Council planning meeting. The first item on the agenda is public participation. I know that we have one member of the public that wishes to speak today. So in a minute, I'm going to invite them to have 2 minutes to talk on the application they wish to. When they've got 10 seconds left, I shall raise my hand to signal that you've got 10 seconds left and to sort of start wrapping it up. So if I'm right, we have Mr. Glenister that wishes to talk tonight.
Yeah, I'm not Liz Glenister.
Not Liz, not Liz.
It's her computer.
As long as it's not Jackie Weaver, we're fine.
Would you like me to rename you, Bill?
Oh, it's fine. I'm not worried. We
Okay.
speak as one. I don't mind being Liz Glenister.
Speak as one, no worries. Like all good relationships. Right, if you'd like to, off you go, sir.
Okay. First, I'd like a clarification when I finish talking. Is this application, it's DM210291, is it just for an extension, or does it include trees? Because when I go on the Mid Sussex portal, it mentions an oak tree in the back of our garden, which has got a preservation order on. So that's number one. And two, the other reservation I had was about the extension at the back of this property. I've spoken to the owner, and he's promised to put a ridge on the pent roof and flashing so that water doesn't come down onto our flat roof from their extension, which will be higher up once it's built than our current extension at the back of ours. So it's just two things. One, is it involving a tree, or is it just a building extension? And two, if it could be recorded that he's agreed to put up a ridge on the wall adjoining our property so that water doesn't come onto our flat roof.
Okay, thank you very much. On the agenda today, tree applications do go separately than the building extension. So there would be a separate application for any work done on a protected tree. We've only got one protected tree application today, and it's not that one connected to that application.
The owner did seem surprised because he said he hadn't put an application in, but it's there on the Mid Sussex portal. So,
okay, well, hopefully Mid Sussex will pick that up then, as it is protected, and then it will go through. It will come through us, and it will go to the tree officer at Mid Sussex before anything can be done to it.
Okay, that's fine.
If anything gets done without it, then it is quite a hefty fine, so it should be done through it. In regard to the other bit, that's that. In regard to your other points, so that's noted. So thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
You can obviously stay into the meeting to hear our discussion on that at the latter part of the meeting.
No, it's fine. Thank you very much. I just wanted to make those 2 points. Otherwise, I don't object to it. We support the application. It's going to be a lot of noise, but never mind.
It's a little bit further down the meeting, so feel free to hang around on mute and you can hear what we say about it. So,
okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Item number 2 is apologies for absence, please, Town Clerk.
We've had apologies from Councillor Mrs. Mockford, who is working this evening.
Thank you.
There was also an email from Councillor Peacock.
There was, thank you. He's ex officio, so he doesn't have to attend. Item number 3 is I would like to receive the minutes of the meeting held on the 27th of January. This is for accuracy. I'd like to propose them. Could I have a second, please?
I'll second that, Chair.
Thank you, guys. And any questions on those minutes at all? Can I have a show of hands in support of those minutes, please? For the record, obviously, as I said every time, I will be going into East Court once it is safe to do so to sign those minutes. Item number 4 is members' declarations of interest. I will start on that one. I've got to declare an interest in DM 210136. That's our good friend, Mr. Sumner. So I will stay in the room to work the computer, but I won't vote on it. Councillor de Bell.
Thank you very much, Chairman. Yes, I'm a member of Mid Sussex Planning Committee and District Planning Committee, and I reserve the right to change my opinion after this meeting with any new information that's brought before me. Thank you.
Councillor Osborne, you're muted, sir. Councillor Osborne,
Frank,
you're
you're
muted.
muted.
You're muted, mate.
I've been chatting away here. I don't know. Yeah, there's an application. Can you hear me now?
I can.
Good. There's an application here which is DM 210069 FUL. It's the Grange Firs Lane. This is a very close neighbour of mine, and I know them, so I think probably it's best, in fact, I declare an interest on this one.
I think that's
Okay, thank you very much.
personal only, so you can stay in the room for that unless you wish to leave.
I can stay. Yeah. Okay. Good. Not friends of mine, but I just know them. You know.
Yeah. Anybody else? No. Okay, thank you.
Jason's got.
Item number 5 is. Oh, Jason got his hand up, has he? No.
Jason has his hand up.
No, he doesn't. He's quite happy.
He's got his hand
Item
down.
number 5 is Chairman's announcement. I've got 2 matters that I'm going to bring before you. Firstly is to say that Councillor Dooley submitted representation on behalf of the committee for the Pickford site on Durkins Road, Wellington Town Road. This was a delegated decision that Dean would make representation on behalf of the council. While it was debated, the application was finally approved by Mid Sussex District Council in a complete and utter farce. I know I shouldn't say it, but they originally voted to reject it. And then after discussions with officers, they took the vote again, and even with people abstaining from the vote, it got through. I don't really understand the legality of that situation. I'm sure they've got rules to cover it, but it did make a bit of an arse that it actually originally got rejected, but then got second vote, which is a real shame. And I'd like to thank Councillor Dooley for going and voicing the concerns of this committee and his residents at Mid Sussex for us.
Well, the officers wear the trousers.
The clerk has asked the district councillors who represent Imberhorn Ward to please update on the position of the Star Injunction to ensure the committee understands the current Mid Sussex position and expectation of that junction, as there are new traffic surveys that have been produced where suddenly the traffic survey that was last done with Mid Sussex says that the junction was at 106% capacity, and now magically it's only at 67% capacity. So we're just trying to understand why there's that drop in capacity.
Is that because they've tested it during COVID?
Who knows, Councillor Odie? So that's why I think the clerk and I would like to understand exactly what the situation is going on that junction.
Well, the answer is, Mr. Chairman, they're determined to get their development in, regardless of what the facts are. I think it's an absolute disgrace, really. I couldn't possibly comment, Councillor Osborne, and I look forward to hearing back from our district colleagues on that one. Yeah.
It does sound tonight like I'm slightly bashing the district council, and I apologise for that. But in both those cases, I feel quite passionate about it.
I think, Chair, to be very fair, with regards to the issue of the Star Injunction, we've simply asked what the position is at this point. We don't really know. A lot of things are being said, and we would like to fully understand the position that the district is in at this time. So it's not district bashing, it's asking the question, what is going on there, because we don't really understand.
We would like clarification.
Dead right. And I won't tell you.
Okay. I'm gonna share my screen for the main bits of the meeting today. Hopefully you can all see my screen there.
You can, yeah.
I can all see you. The first bit is licensing applications. We have 2 applications tonight. See them both on my screen there. I normally be minded to refer these to the licensing officer at Mid Sussex District Council unless there are any specific comments that anybody wants to make on either of these applications. So on the first application, does anybody have any specific comments on that at all? No. And on the second one, are there any specific comments at all? No. In that case, I'd like to propose that we recommend we make no comment on those and refer to the licensing officer. Can I have a second for that?
Chair.
Can I have a show of hands in support of that? Thank you. Okay. We only have one tree this week, which is DM210285. This is to Stream Park, reducing some beech trees. Again, we normally will take this on block to refer to the tree officer with any comments. Councillor Osborne, as Imberhorn, do you have any comments to make on this one at all?
No, I don't. No, I think what you're doing is right.
Okay. I would say that. So again, I recommend referring with no comment to the tree officer. Can I have a second for that, please?
Yeah.
Can I have a show of hands in support, please? Thank you. Okay. Main part of the evening. So we start off with DM 2035 73. This is Green Acres, Imberhorn Lane. This is in Herentide. This is loft conversion, including the front and rear dormers to create first floor, 2-story side extension with internal alterations. These are amended plans received on the 15th of the 1st, showing revised design for the rear dormers and the balcony positioned on the west elevation. This came before us on the 27th of October, and we would support approval last time. But Councillor Odey, would you like to, I'll show you the plans first, shall I? That would be useful. So this is the property here. This is the proposed, and for some reason sorry, bear with me a second. My mouse has now stopped working. It's been a day of technology failures today.
Change the battery, Chair. Change the battery.
I do need to. It is. I think it actually might quite literally be changing the battery on the mouse. This is very professional of me. Bear with me 2 seconds whilst I do change the battery on the mouse.
I spy.
What's all that junk over the back here?
Who, me?
No, not your place. Fraser's got a load of rubbish on the floor at the back there or something.
Got his exercise bike there.
Yes.
Sorry, committee. I now have to find the batteries, which I've now found. Oh, and now it's connected. But let me try again. You'll have fun chatting amongst yourselves.
Yeah, we're talking about your exercise bike.
My addiction to my exercise bike at the moment. Right. So this is the existing elevations, and these are the proposed new elevations. So, Councillor Odey, would you like to have a discussion on this one?
Well, there's not really much to say, Chair, apart from it's still a nicely designed house. The changes aren't drastic, but it's I vote for approval.
Okay, can I have a second for that, please?
Yeah.
Councillor Scott, thank you. Any other comments on this at all? Can I have a show of hands? Oh, Councillor Scott.
Just one quick thing on the west elevation. Is that window that they put on the side there overlooking anyone's property at all? Has anyone mentioned it? That's all, just a quick thing.
On the west, no, we're looking into the trees in the woods.
Oh, that's fine then. No, totally support.
Okay, can I have a show of hands in support, please?
Carried,
Thank
Chair.
you. Okay. DM 20 4722, sorry, this is Eastminster Post Office. This is replacing existing shop front fascia signage. No change to the dimensions of the existing. So this is the post office. As you can see, this is a rebrand to bring it in line with current post office advertising. This is town. So Councillor Scott, would you like to take us on that one?
Yeah, I like it. It's extremely attractive, but it looks like they're doing away with the hole in the wall machine, which is a great shame because that was quite handy, that one there. But apart from that, it is a vast improvement and I will support this.
Thank you. Could I have a second for that? Councillor Woodgate, thank you. Any comments on this at all? Can I have a show of hands in support then, please? To Imberhorn for DM 210069. This is the Grange, Lane, East Grinstead. This is erection of detached 4-bedroom chalet dwelling on land adjacent to the Grange, creation of new access point onto Firs Lane. So this is the boundary here, showing that it is effectively the side of the garden of this house. This is where the new property and new entrance will go. This is the current. This is the street scene. There's a gap here at the moment, and this is the proposed new property. And yeah, so that's basically the new property. I'll start this one off as Councillor Osborne is sitting this one out. I'm not normally a fan of garden grabs, but this is a kind of strangely angled plot as it currently stands, and I think it kind of fits in. The entrance it's got its own unique point. It doesn't have to go across anyone else's shared drives. I think the house is an interesting house, and it actually fits quite nicely with some of the other houses that we've seen, sort of the conversions and things we've seen down that road at the moment. It is an area with big houses. I would like to add a point that I'd like to see screening maintained on this boundary. I know this is a garage on the side of this house, but just to preserve some screening down between the neighbours. Apart from that, I'm actually quite happy with this. I think it's quite attractive. So I would recommend approval. Could I have a second for that, please? Councillor Scott. Any comments on this at all?
Extremely attractive.
If there's no other comments, then can we take a vote to approve, please? Thank you. Okay, so we are going to head over to back to Imberhorn actually for DM 210109. This is 24 Tennyson Rise. This is demolition of existing garage and proposed 2-storey side extension and single-storey side extension. If I zoom up on the map here, you can probably see a bit better the added and where it sits at the end of Tennyson Rise. And on this one, it shows in red the new bits that they want to build on. And this quite clearly shows that they're going infilling and then going onto the side and an extension to the side there. Councillor Osborne, would you like to start this one off?
Well, firstly, are there any objections or any comments from neighbours?
Not on this one.
No.
No?
None at all, no.
Okay. Well, it looked, when you showed the plan view of it, it looked like it didn't impinge on anybody, so I can't really see a problem with that. So I think I'd support it.
Okay, thank you. I would second that. Any further comment at all from committee?
No.
Can I have a show of hands in support, please? Thank you. The next one, DM 210125, is for noting, please, committee.
Noted.
Noted.
Chairman, did you just miss 0117?
Yeah, I did completely. I just realised that myself. I just completely skipped over it because they're both in Hall and I just went past it. So we've noted the Worsted one. I got all excited seeing the word Worsted. You're thinking Councillor Belsey was going to get a chance to say something, but no, I will DM21 0117. Sorry, forgive me. 13 Austin Close is a 2-storey front extension and conversion of integral garage into habitable accommodation. Here it is on Austin Close. This is the actual property here. They supplied their own photographs. And this is the proposed extension to the front. To the rear, sorry, I don't know what I'm doing today. And this quite clearly shows the increased size to in line with the garage of it. Councillor Osborne, would you like to do this as Inverhorn again?
Could you go back to the sort of detailed plan so we can see how the neighbours are affected and just how it sits in there? That's it. Getting closer if you can. So it looks rather like, is the 15 got a similar extension there?
They are the,
Yes,
yeah, they have.
And number 9.
Right, okay.
Yeah, 9 has done the same.
So that lines it up then, doesn't it? And it's still
Yeah.
a step back from number 11. Were there any objections on this or any comments that are relevant?
Nope.
Okay. All right. Well, I don't see. I mean, seeing the layout there, that looks to me perfectly reasonable. So I would support it.
This also will show you the new space upstairs to make more bedrooms. I would support it as well.
Yeah.
So I'll second that. Can I have any comments on this at all? No. Can I have a show of hands in support then, please? Thank you. Now is the one for noting. Sorry, committee.
Noted.
I had a power outage just before the meeting started, which caused my computer to completely crash and have to restart, which took an eternity. And then my batteries ran out. It's a technological failure today, which has slightly thrown me off kilter. I'm going to introduce this one, but I'm not going to discuss it at all. This is DM21 0136 6 Hollands Way. This is demolition of existing conservatory and erection of single-storey extension to the rear of the dwelling. These are your aerial plan. This is where the extension will be. See the proposed, existing rear and proposed rear. This is Ashplatz. Who would like to start me on this one? Councillor Bell?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, it looks absolutely fine. It's the sort of thing that you would do to actually extend your living space. And I think it's been done very tastefully. I see no problem with, and there's no objections on the portal. So I would find no reason not to recommend acceptance.
Thank you. Could I have a second for that, please? Councillor Mrs. Belsey. Any further comment on that at all from committee?
No.
In that case, can I have a show of hands in support, please? Thank you. Next one is DM21 0144. This is 50 Pegasus Way. This is variation of condition 2 relating to planning application DM19 2517. This is effectively a change to the building materials. I have actually gone through and pulled out for you there. I like the honesty in this. The original design cost to build is too expensive. You can have that on your screen to have a read of. So this is again Ashplatz. Councillor Mrs. Belsey, would you like to start me on that one?
Yes, I didn't have a problem. I read the explanation. I have no problem with it, and I would recommend approval.
Thank you. Could I have a second for that, please? Thank you, Councillor DeVille. Any comments on that at all?
No.
Show of hands in support, please.
Carried.
Thank you, committee. Okay, DM 210189 in Imberhorn. This is 4 Manor Road. Is proposed single-storey front extension and garage conversion and relocation of dropped curb. So this is the property. This is the proposed extension site and drop curb moving. This is where I'd really like to be able to go and take photographs for you, but it'd be inappropriate at the moment. And this is the existing and proposed new little extension to the front and into the garage. Councillor Osborne, would you like to start us off on that one?
Yeah, it's very modest. I can't see any problem with that at all.
No, there's no objections, so I'll second that. Any comments at all?
No, none of this.
Can I have a show of hands in support then, please? We have lost Councillor Mrs. Belzy on my screen. Can you see her, Clark?
Well, she's still with us, but her camera's gone off. There we go. She's back.
Thank you, Councillor. Thank you, Councillor Belzy, for getting Councillor Belzy back. Next one is a bit of an old favourite with us. This is DM 195183. This is Bambi House, Checker Road. These are amended plans. There is a host of amended plan dates throughout 2020 and into early 2021. This is change of use of existing building to create 1 and 2 bedroom flats and one bedroom flat. Existing storage building converted into split level office space. This is the old Wilts electrical building on the on Checker Road.
Right on the corner.
Into flat on the corner, the old bakery. This is on the 29th of the 1st, 2020. East Grinstead Town Council supported approval as a domestic property as it will enhance the street scene. However, we were sorry that more flats were proposed. And again, on the 17th of the 2nd, 2020, we supported approval again. This is Town Ward. So, Councillor Woodgate, would you like to start me off on that one?
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, once again, I'd support approval for this. I think it's a good use of the space, nice layout of the flats, and yeah, a good change of the building into something that's going to keep it going and keeps its character as well. So I'd like to push for approval.
Thank you. Have a second for that, please. Councillor Scott, thank you. I, many years ago, used to live opposite this building, and there are several objections floating around for people worried about parking. But trust me, when it was an industrial unit, the electrical wholesalers and vans were pulling up and parking and driving away all the time. That was far worse than 1 or 2 cars being there. So I actually think that if it became a commercial unit, or as it was rather than residential, the parking would be far worse. That would be my answer to those comments. So I support it as well. Can I have a show of hands in support of the application, please? Thank you.
Chairman, if I can just draw your attention that Councillor Julie has just joined the meeting at this point.
Have noticed. I wanted to welcome him.
Apologies for being late.
That's okay, Councillor Dooley. Thank you for coming. Next one is DM 210016. This is Fieldways, Coombe Hill Road. This is single-storey rear extension with new roof and roof lights. Front extension to existing detached garage comprising of a workshop and guest bedroom home office. Here is the existing, and here is the proposed across the back, and this shows the new sort of detached garage. This is Herentide, so Councillor Odey.
Thanks, Chair. Yeah, no, they've got plenty of space to do this as well. It's nicely designed. I would vote for approval.
Thank you. I'll second that for you. Any other comment on this one at all? Can I have a show of hands in support, please? Councillor Dooley, you turned up just in time, sir. This is DM 21 0115. This is parking area adjacent to 24 Wellington Town Road, East Grinstead. This is construction of two-bedroom single family dwellings and associated car parking, landscape and ancillary works. So this is, for those who know, this is the sort of old car parking space for East Grinstead kitchens, bedrooms and bathrooms. We've seen this site come before us a lot with various developments. I'm saying that through gritted teeth. And this is now them wanting to build on the car parking bit. This is the proposed design. Yeah, that's what we've got into this car parking spot. That's what it will look like. Councillor Dooley, would you like to lead on this, please, sir?
I will. I've driven up and out around the area, and I've been looking a lot on the plans online, and I agree there needs to be something developed on this, but at this point in time, looking at the design and looking at a few other things, I think I would propose to reject this application on the basis that it's just not really in keeping with the existing designs of the area. I understand there are going to be 2 parking spaces per house, but this has been designed as a 4-bedroom house, and I just think it potentially could promote a lot more traffic down an area that's not, you know, got a lot of space for parking anyway. I'm not opposed to modern design in any way whatsoever, but I just don't think this really fits in with the look. And I think that, really and truthfully, I think if they designed something that was maybe more of a 3-bedroom house that maybe even had a dormer at the back because it wouldn't be overlooking anything, that would still allow it to be a really good family home with 2 parking spaces, I think that would probably be, you know, and something that's probably a little bit more in keeping with the existing designs. There's some cottagey sort of houses down there. I know there's also a lot of neighbourhood objections, and I kind of understand the points they're making. A lot of the neighbours are saying the same thing, that they're not opposed to development down there. They just think that the designs aren't great. So I think probably in line with DP26 and EG3, I think we should reject this on the basis of those rules. It's also a little bit, like I say, the height of it's a little bit overbearing, so it's going to affect that, you know, light and etc. potentially. So my proposal at this point would be to reject this existing plan, but really encourage the developer to maybe look at what they're looking to do there and come back with another suggestion.
Thank you. Could I have a second for that, please? I'll second that motion. Any further comment on that at all?
Yes.
Councillor Odey?
Thanks, Chair. Sorry, there are 4 objections on the portal. I didn't get a chance to have a look at them now. Dean, can you tell me what they're all about? Is it purely design?
It's mainly about the design and the size and the fact there's going to be like 4 bedrooms there that potentially you could, you know, if you had a family with grown-up children, you could end up with potentially 4 cars parking there. So there is concerns about the parking, and there is going to be development across the road at the site across the road eventually. We know that it will happen at some point. And I think there are concerns for the neighbours that it's going to get massively overparked down the area. It's really, I walked down there and you can't even walk on the pavement. I had to walk down there with my baby in a pram in the middle of the road because there's so many cars parked on the pavement. So I think I understand the neighbours' objections completely. The design, I'm not massively against the design, if I'm honest, but I just don't think it's as in keeping with the area. I mean, I like modern design where it fits, but I think it just is a little bit too much in this size, and the height of it and the size of it, it's just a bit overbearing, I think. So, and I think that's kind of reflecting what a lot of the comments of the neighbours are really, and I do agree with them.
Yeah.
So 2 spaces per property though is more than what West Sussex Highways or West Sussex County Council recommend, isn't it?
I completely agree with that, and mine is it's just a comment from that perspective that I just, you know, that and it's not a rejecting it on that basis. That's just a comment. The rejection is really on the design and that it could be more sort of sympathetic to the existing buildings that are around that area.
Thanks.
Thank you. Councillor Belsey.
Thank you, Chairman. I mean, I sympathise with what Councillor Dooley says, but I think 2 parking spaces per house is actually not reasonable. The heights don't look to be that different to some of the other street scene, and I think the street scene around that part of town is quite varied. So, and I think I've heard some, maybe even Councillor Dooley say he doesn't actually even dislike the design. That design looks quite similar to some of the other designs we've seen brought forward in that area. So I'm not hearing any legal reason as to why we should reject this planning application before us. So unless I hear anything else, I will be minded to support the objection, because to support the application, as I haven't got a single thing really to be able to reject it in my view. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Belsey. If I quickly come back on that for you before we go to Councillor Scott. I described the plans that we rejected on the development in front of it, where they brought it up to the road as a carbuncle, and I would go as far as to reuse that word again tonight. This is a street scene of Victorian houses, and this is dull architecture. This is terrible. This is not something that we should be promoting. This is why we have a neighbourhood plan that has the policies that we have in it to promote good design, because this is someone with a set square and some grey cladding. This is not good design. I don't think that this committee should be sending messages out that we would promote in an area that has some attractive cottage style buildings to put this in the middle of it. Agreed that something could be built on that, and I think the car parking is fine. I think access is tight up that road, but a lot more cars came into it. I can see why the neighbours get upset about that, but I don't think that's a reason. But this is terrible design. I think they could go back and sharpen their pencils on this one and come back with something that was far more in keeping with the street scene. And I would say that this is the thrust of our neighbourhood plan, is to promote good design in this sort of, and this doesn't. Councillor Scott.
I totally agree with you there, Chair. What you said is exactly what I thought, but I just can't understand, why is there not a solitary window in the north or the south elevation? They're just front and back. There's nothing looking out the sides at all. They're just an ugly brick elevation. And I think that's what turns me off it. I think it looks horrific, both sides.
Councillor Bell.
Thank you, Chairman. I take on board exactly what Councillor Belsey says. I've recently had a salutary lesson in we need to make sure that we have sound planning reasons and planning rationale to go to District Council with an objection on, and unfortunately that we don't actually like the look of the building. It just doesn't work.
Because we have a policy to promote good design, Councillor de Bell. So if we cite that policy, that's why we have it. Otherwise, there's no point in having that policy, and we should just let developers build whatever they want in our town. We should be actively pushing for good design properties. This is not a good design property, and that is a legal reason.
I take your point, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
We're going to go Councillor Dooley, Councillor Osborne, and back to Councillor Odie.
You've summarised what I was going to say, to be fair, Chair. So I'm happy with the comments you've made.
Thank you, Councillor Osborne.
Well, just looking at it and knowing the area, I think most of the houses there you're talking about got pitch roofs, haven't they?
Yes.
Yeah.
And if I'm reading this plan correctly, this is just a flat cube with a flat roof. Is that right?
Yeah. You're right, Councillor Osborne.
Yeah. Well, apart from anything else, you're always asking for trouble with a flat roof. They always leak eventually. And I would have thought that there should be some reasonable sort of relevance to the houses around it. And I agree with you. I think that we should make comments on design. I mean, it's important. It's going to be there for a long, long time, and it's quite possible to make that quite a nice looking house that won't be an eyesore. So I support Councillor Dooley and yourself in this. I shall vote for it to go back and them to come back with a better design for it.
Councillor Obi.
Yeah, thanks, Chair. Do we, is it up to us to come up with some sort of alternatives of what we as a council or committee want? I mean,
we can
the reason I
put
say
whatever
that is
we
because
want.
you can't, I mean, everything's Victorian in that area. So you're not going to build a property that's going to be sympathetic to that particular area.
I completely agree, and you can build things that are sympathetic to. It's never going to be Victorian, but you can have pitched roofs. You can have interesting brick detailing. You can have things that are far more in keeping to that street and be softer in that quite intimately developed street scene. And I think this is something that I am speaking obviously fairly passionately on this because it is something that I feel quite strongly about. That one of the things that we should be doing as a committee here, one of the primary things for our committee is not just to find a legal reason, but to also say, no, this is our town and we want things that are built nicely and look attractive, not something that is cheap and simple. And clearly that architect got a set square for Christmas and decided to just draw straight lines. Let's do something, if you're going to do modernist design, do something like we saw earlier on Furs Road, something that is really architecturally interesting and dynamic. Not, if you want to build a glass box like the Space House that we have in East Grinstead, fantastic. If you want to build something that is in keeping with our local narrative and using East Grinstead design, Sussex design, fantastic. If you want to do something that's lazy and boring, we should be standing up and saying no. And we should be taking that back to district, taking that back to the developers and sending a message saying, no, we don't want you to build tut in our town. Councillor Scott.
My last point is, if it was 2-storey with a pitch roof, I would actually be sympathetic and support this. But the square box, no, I cannot.
I would agree. Does anybody have anything different to say on this at all? Councillor Dooley to end.
Sorry, I just had a question actually, Chair, because when I was looking through some of the comments that were made by the neighbours, and it is a question really, because I couldn't find anything when I looked. Someone had made a comment saying that there was like a pre-application done and the design was actually with a dormer on the back and it was a more interesting design. Now, I haven't seen anything like that. I don't know if that has gone through, but that, or maybe that was relating to other properties in the area. But again, that's why my comments were that if there was something that was more, I'm not opposed to modern design in any way at all. But as I say, this just, it's almost like just a block of flats that's been made into a house, almost like a very plain block of flats. So, and we do have a legal, we do have EG3 and DP26, which are the district plan and the East Grinstead neighbourhood plan that allow us to comment on design, and we should be using that. And I understand we were challenged a district recently on those, but I understand the reasons we were challenged on those, and I think we're bowing down a little bit to pressure from the district that we should be stronger, as you say, Chair, to protect our town from design. We've got a historic town and we can be a modern town, but it's got to be something that's going to last and not just be looked at as being one of those nasty pieces of blocks that were put in just more for convenience and to get as many people into a building as you can, rather than to make make a good design in the location and to a degree sympathetic, but it could have a modern twist on it.
Yeah, I agree. And they could have had pre-application meetings with district that we may not have seen, and that does happen where things can be discussed and they actually come to planning for cost reasons, ease of build, whatever, they get amended. So yeah. Okay, so we've definitely obviously got, it's an interesting debate, this one. We've got a motion to reject it on all those points that the town clerk has been scribbling away furiously with there, I'm sure. So can we take this as a vote now? So those that wish to reject it on those grounds, please vote.
But can you clarify what grounds? So what grounds are you rejecting it
EG3A and EG3A and DP26 poor design, not in keeping with the street scene. In the primary thrust of that, I would say. Is that right, town clerk?
That's certainly what I've got down here. Yep.
Yeah. So in that case, can I have a show of hands, please? And in support? Or voting against?
That's carried,
okay, so that's carried. Okay.
What was the motion, Chair?
One you voted on.
You just voted on it, Councillor Scott.
Yeah, no, no. What was the, was it turned down or passed?
Carried.
It was carried.
It was it was carried to refuse.
Okay.
Okay, so DM 210211. This is 139 Charwoods Road. This is demolition of existing conservatory, construction of single-storey rear extension and enclosed front porch under existing roof. So this is fairly standard fare. This is part way down Charwoods on the left-hand side. You go down the hill. This is the existing conservatory, proposed new rear extension, and sort of infilling of the porch area there. You can see some of the plans there. So Baldwin's. So Councillor Dooley.
See, I did time it just right.
You did.
So I went down and looked at this. I think it's the precedent has been set to enclose the porch, which I don't have a problem with. I can see that you're losing the garage to be able to park a car in there, but I don't know many people who park their cars in garages anymore, but they're still retaining the storage. The extension at the back, I think they're improving a fairly sort of box standard, not particularly nice conservatory with quite a nice extension. It's adding a cloakroom, it's adding more space. I would recommend approval for this. It's pretty much the precedent's been set anyway, and I would be happy to recommend approval on this.
Thank you. Can I have a second for that, please? Thank you. Any other discussion on that at all?
No, fine.
Thank you. Okay. Right, we shall go to Ashplatz for DM 210216. This is 28 Elm.
Do we need to vote on that?
Mr. Chairman, I think you need to
Oh,
vote.
sorry. Can we vote? Sorry, distracted then by a councillor's message. Can we vote on that, please? Sorry.
That's
okay.
Carried.
Thank you. So DM 210216. This is 28 Elm Drive. This is conversion of loft with rear dormer and front-facing roof lights to create a second floor, single-storey front porch extension as well. As you can see here, this is the blue boxes obviously representing the changes. And here we have the roof lights and the new rear dormer on there. Ashplatz, who would like to start me on that one? Councillor Mrs. Belsey?
Okay. I personally, this is just a personal opinion, do not particularly like the design, but with regard to the roof lights, the or they call them front-facing roof lights. I don't believe that you actually need planning permission as long as they're within the conditions and the limits, not protruding certain 150 millimeters. So although I don't like them, there's no reason I can find to actually object to the front looking, and at the rear, it's the rear. Again, I don't particularly like the design, but I don't think I have any planning grounds to refuse it. So I would recommend acceptance of the proposal.
Thank you. Can I have a second for that, please? Councillor Bell, any further comment on that?
That's fine.
Councillor
Chairman, before you vote, if I can just remind you, you don't have to say would support approval if you're not overly happy with it. You can always say no objection.
Right.
If I'm just thinking the way that it was explained by Councillor Spelsey, if she might be more comfortable with a no objection rather than a would support approval, but that's up to her.
Yes, I thank you, Town Clerk. Yes, I think that is more my view. Councillor de Bell may have another view, but I have no objection.
Okay, thank you. We'll use that. Thank you, Town Clerk. Councillor Roddy.
Thank you, Chair. has there been precedent set with other properties that have done something similar? I think there haven't there?
I don't know the road, so some of the more local.
This is Escotts, isn't it?
No, this is
Drive.
Elm
No,
Drive.
It's on Escotts. Is that
it
right?
is on Escotts. Yes, it's on the Escotts estate.
Yeah.
There are other dormers floating. There are other dormers floating around that area. Some of them quite extensive that we have seen go up before.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
He's a bit more sympathetic, isn't he? Yeah.
I'm surprised this isn't under permitted development, but yeah. So can we have a show of hands to vote on Councillor Isabel's no objection? Thank you. Okay, we're this is a P&O. We don't have to discuss these, do we, Town Clerk?
I looked up the detail of this one. This is an application, yes, to determine whether the prior approval is needed. So it is a little bit like an LDC in that if the district determine the prior notification is not necessary, then it's irrelevant from that point of view. But so you can note it or you can make a comment. It's up to you.
I think with this particular one, if you're happy, Councillor Dooley, to note this.
Yeah, I couldn't see anything really on. There was no sort of drawings or anything I could comment on anyway. So yeah,
No.
Happy to note that.
Okay. We're going to go to Herentide for DM 210124. This is Kingsmead, Turners Hill Road. This is variation of condition 3 relating to planning application DM 182461. Again, I've got the variation in front. It's mainly to do with the render and the cladding. Councillor Odey, would you like to discuss this?
Thanks. Thank you, Chair. Yeah, I don't have any reservations about this. I think their reasoning is fairly sound, actually, and I'm happy to approve.
Thank you. I'm happy to second that.
Yeah.
Any other comment on this at all? A show of hands in support.
Carried.
You are busy tonight, Councillor Dooley. DM 210246. This is again on Baldwin's. This is 29 Hermitage Road. This is proposed single-storey rear and side extension. So this shows, it currently shows the proposed new. Here is your existing front and rear. And here is the proposed side extension. You can see how it sort of hooks onto the edge there. Councillor Dooley, would you like to set us off, please?
Yeah, I'm just getting my head around this one now. Got so many I've my notes. Yeah, I went down there, and to be honest with you, the precedent's been set anyway. There's a number of houses that have done very similar. I actually think it's quite a nice extension in keeping with the existing design. The internal alterations really good to extend the kitchen, create an office space, so massively useful in current times, and to add an upstairs bathroom and an ensuite. So I think it's a great use of space, and I'm happy to propose approval on this.
Thank you, Councillor Lee. Can I have a second to that, please? Councillor Odey. Any other comments at all? In that case, can I have a show of hands in support, please?
Carried.
Thank you. Next one is for Noting Police Committee.
Noted.
Thank you.
Noted.
He's waiting all evening for this to come up. Here it is. This is DM 210291. This is 5 The Meet. This is removal of existing garage, new 2-storey side extension and single-storey rear extension. So this is the property here. The red is the proposed. Here's a floor plan.
Massive.
Showing new layout. And here is the where you can see quite clearly the before and afters there. This is Herontie. So, Councillor Odey, the floor is yours.
Thanks, Chair. Yeah, I don't really have any reservations. It's a big extension, but there are other properties that have done something similar. I would, if we can, make a note of what the neighbour, Mr. Glenister, did say about the property owner confirming that he'd make provision to stop the water going into his roof. I'd be happy to vote approval for this.
Thank you. Could I have a second for that, please? Councillor Scott, thank you. Any other comments at all? No, thank you. I'm very pleased that you mentioned the comments from earlier there, Councillor Odey. So I think they should hopefully be picked up. Can we take a vote to support that, please? Thank you.
Carried, Chair.
Thank you. Next one is DM 210304. This is 3 Newick Way. This is a single-storey front extension. So this is down on the Oaks. You can quite clearly see where this sits in the front. And this is a very small extension to the porch area. I questioned whether this should be permitted development, and then realised that because it's the new build Oaks, they've used up their permitted development. So this is why this is coming before us. Otherwise, I don't think we would see it. And it's in front of on the front of the property, but it doesn't extend beyond the existing porch. If you're okay, Councillor Osborne, I know this particular property quite well, and I've got no problem with it at all. I think it's a nice little extension to the living room, so I would support approval.
I'll second that one.
Thank you. Any other comments on that at all?
Not at all.
No, show of hands in support, please.
Carried, Chair.
Thank you. Okay, this is DM 210322. This is Summerhill, Turners Hill Road. This is demolition of existing dwelling and outbuilding, construction of new dwelling with attached garage and garden store. So this is the plot. These are the current outbuildings on the plot. This is some of the plans for the proposed new development. Some artistic renders to give you a more 3D perspective of it, and some other renders of it. Again, this is Councillor Odey, so the floor is yours again, sir.
Yeah, thanks, Chair. No, I love this. It's a really quiet road. It's a track off the main road, and yeah, I think it's a lovely design, and I would recommend approval.
Thank you. Can I have a second for that, please? Councillor Scott. Councillor Scott.
I totally endorse those comments. I mean, this is set back. It's away from any other house, and it's an absolutely fabulous design. And I totally endorse it there.
Thank you.
Modern is perfect for where that is located.
Thank you. I think that maybe this should be referred to the architects of the other one, that this is how you do in keeping modern, very good quality, high-end design. This is how it's done, not how the other one is done. So I completely echo Councillor Odey's comments that this is a beautiful bit of architecture in a lovely spot, and I'm very jealous of whoever ends up living there because I think it looks stunning. Any other comments on this at all?
Chairman, would you like me to include that in the comments, that the committee actually commend the architectural design of this? Because of course Mid Sussex Mid Sussex will be looking at their design awards at some point, and if you want to give this one a bit of a push and for them to look at it, that's probably a way of doing so.
I agree.
Yeah, that'd be great. Yeah, I think this is a beautiful and sympathetic Sussex barn style with hidden building. I think it's amazing.
Yep, totally agree.
As people have been saying, that design is subjective, but good design is always good and bad design is always bad. So can I show of hands in support, please?
Carried.
Thank you. This is DM 210331. This is 19 Forest View Road. This is demolition of existing rear extension and replaced with single-story rear extension. So there is a small extension to the rear at the moment. They wish to bifold and lantern and extend, make it a little, make bigger. This is Herontie. So Councillor Odie.
Oh, me again. No, I don't have any objections to this, Chair. Most properties along Forest View Road have had similar extensions done, to be fair. Yeah, it makes it into a really nice livable space. So I'm happy to approve.
Thank you. Can I have a second, please? Councillor Woodgate, thank you. Any other comments at all on this one?
No.
Can I have a show of hands in support, please?
Carried.
Thank you. Okay, this is DM 210349. This is Hermitage Cottage, 1 Alders Avenue. This is dormer to the front of the property. So if I bring those plans up, you can see the conservatory to the rear. This is the front of it, grass and a path. This is the property, the dormer going on the front. And you can see here quite clearly the dormer going on the front. Baldwin's, Councillor Dooley.
Must admit, when I first sort of read the minutes that come out, I was initially quite concerned to see dormer on front, but actually I was quite pleasantly surprised that it's actually quite a tasteful dormer. It's actually not going to be that intrusive because it's really a dormer to create access, easier access into the second room upstairs. I think it looks quite nice. It adds a bit of character to that front of that plain roof. It also, like I said, adds the access. And I think I'm happy to propose approval for this one.
Thank you. Could I have a second for that, please? Mr. Bell, thank you. Any further comments on that at all? Okay, can I have a show of hands in support, please?
That's carried, Chair.
Thank you. Last on the evening, well done committee, for DM 210397. This is the Pool Barn Cherry Tree Farm, Holt High Road. This is change of use of an existing swimming pool from private use to commercial private use. Would Councillor Bell, Mrs. Bell, like to start us on that one?
Thank you, Chairman. This is actually not correct. It's already a public swimming pool giving lessons and has been doing it for quite a time. It's not only on the website as shown, I'm just reading it, public swimming pool. It gives lessons, it gives activities. I'm reading on here all sorts of holiday classes. So to say it was from private use, there's about 20 websites that are advertising it for school holidays and everything. And that's why we approved the entrance to it. If you remember last year where I had misgivings about the coming onto that road. However, to be fair, they have done quite a good entrance. It's quite wide, so you can get off the road without it creating an incident, one hopes. The only thing is, of course, this has been in existence during COVID, where the traffic has been light. I am concerned. However, the swimming pool is well set back, so people visiting it, and I believe it's very popular, are enjoying the facilities that are being offered. But all I would point out, to say that it is from private to commercial use, it is not what we're approving tonight, because it is already and has been for several years a commercial enterprise. So I'm not sure how that puts us. Perhaps the clerk can advise, because we're really doing retrospective planning approval here.
I'm very, very happy to clarify that. That's exactly the point. It is retrospective. It's a change of use because at the moment it is registered as a private swimming pool for private use. I think I read on the website that at least since 2018 that's not been the case. And as you said, they've changed all the entrants as well, which we've seen before. But it was on a planning visit, or a visit from a Mid Sussex District Council officer, that they realised that actually they hadn't completed the planning process, which was the change of use. So that's what's before us today. It is the fact that it is currently registered as a private swimming pool, and that clearly is not the current position. So that's why it's before us.
Okay, fine. Well, on that basis, I'm happy to approve it.
Okay, thank you. Can I have a second for that, please? Councillor de Bell, any comments on this at all? Councillor de Bell.
Unmute yourself. Yeah, thank you so much. I think Councillor Mrs. Darcy has really got to the nub of the matter. This was brought to us as a swimming pool attached to the Cherry Tree Farm, and they started using it for private lessons and using it for, if you read all the details on the actual information, they started using it to let out to people to use for training children and actually for private use. And they didn't realise that they had to do that until, as our lovely town clerk has said, that they somebody showed up from District Council and said, "Boy, you can't do that." It will be down to District Council to view this in terms of a licence, etc. There are a lot of stipulations in for requirements to being used as a commercial property, which it will be down to them to sort out. But as they've been doing it for the last 2 to 3 years, and it's been teaching a lot of young people how to swim, etc. I see no reason to stop it at this stage at our point, but to let District Council get on and view the licence, etc. So there we go.
Thank you very much. In that case, can I have a show of hands of support of that, please?
That's carried.
Thank you, committee. I would like to end the meeting at 8:08, and to remind committee that on Monday, next committee meeting will be Monday the 8th of March, and we expect a presentation concerning the land behind the hospital that's been recently sold. We expect a presentation to us from the developers at that meeting. So that should be an interesting one. Thank you.